I'm Dan Armstrong, Corporate Communications Specialist with Covenant Eyes, and our guest this week is Karen Potter. She is our Director of Professional Services. I'm in this week for Ron DeHaas, who is out this time, but he'll be back before you know it. And what we're talking about this week is communities. It's an effort by Covenant Eyes to help the church address pornography, and it's a monumental campaign that Covenant Eyes is embarking on. There's a big need for it in the Christian church today, and we're going to show you a video right off the bat where if you go to covenanteyes.com/communities, you'll be able to see this video and also sign up for this effort for communities. So we're going to go to that video right now.
Like the monkey with his hands over his mouth, not wanting to speak of evil, the majority of pastors and Christian leaders are keeping silent about this evil that is destroying the minds and hearts and souls of children, teens, and young adults.
We have the most significant problem in our church that we're dealing with right here. No other problem affects more people in the church.
Just know, as we already do, that this material is more aggressive, more harmful, more violent, more degrading and damaging than any other time in the history of the world. And this generation growing up is dealing with it to an intensity and scale no other generation in the history of the world has ever had to.
A difference can be made. The church can be restored if people are willing to do something about it.
I know you want to hear the sounds of chains falling off of men and increasingly women, and of those breaking free from the bondage of pornography.
The church must make it a cause to lead families in the fight against pornography. The church must take the lead in cultural change. But Barna shows on this slide only 7% of pastors say that they have any program whatsoever to deal with pornography.
Now, in that video, Karen, Steve Arterburn calls pornography the most significant problem in our church. Now, most churches have no problem admitting that pornography is bad, and oftentimes pornography is a problem within their church. But we found out through statistics, through the porn phenomenon, the monumental study and survey from the Barna Group had showed that only 7% of churches have a program to help address this problem in the church. So there's a big gap there. we know that there is a problem, and yet only 7% are doing something about this problem. How does communities fill this gap for the church?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dan. So we believe that one of Satan's greatest weapons that he uses is ignorance. The Bible tells us that many people are destroyed by lack of knowledge. And through that, we believe that a lot of people are protecting their families with Covenant Eye services. However, there's a great deal of people that are not. And we believe that communities is the tool in which we can equip leaders to start educating and empowering their people on this topic of pornography and internet temptations, and how they can start confronting this within their organizations and churches.
Ignorance is such a powerful tool. And I think looking back when I was growing up, all the campaigns to stay off drugs, and you know how they were told us how uncool drugs are and how you want to stay away from them, how dangerous they are from you. Here's your brain on drugs, you know, the cracked egg in the sizzling pan. Those are ingrained in your mind. But for some reason, even in the Christian church, pornography often isn't talked about, and oftentimes I think people may have the wrong idea that, you know, if we don't talk about it, maybe they won't be, you know, interested in pursuing that. And if we do talk about it, that may lead them down the path. And it seems like just the opposite is true.
Absolutely. And we fully embrace that with our Communities Project. We really believe that we need to remove the shame that's associated with pornography and start talking about it and offer hope and healing to people within our organizations and churches.
I think this is something that is going to help so many people, because I remember growing up, we would spell sex. You know, even if we used scientific biological terms for parts, people would get red-faced, or they would be embarrassed or blush. But this really helps start this process. So for the church that has very little expression in this has very little experience in dealing with this topic, or they usually use it as a list. If you're struggling with, you name all these vices and then pornography is part of the list but not really focused on. How do you start with a church who says, what, we don't even really know, it's maybe out of our comfort zone to even start to talk about this? How does communities help even start that process?
Yeah, well, that's a great question too. So we actually have a team of experts, a team of community coaches that will actually partner with church leaders, pastors, small group leaders, and the like, and really develop a customized program and plan to help them start addressing this issue. And there's many ways you can tackle this, but the first step is to get started, for sure. So one of the ways that they can start is we have an educational portal that comes with our communities program. It's full of training, resources, videos, ebooks, blog posts, you name it, we've got it in there. There's curriculum for the youngsters. It's just fully loaded with great tools and resources. And then the next step is to really start thinking about how they want to tackle this. So we've had churches start from the top up by doing like a sermon series. The pastor will start talking about sexual purity and online integrity, and that just trickles down into all the small groups, and they start rolling out programs throughout all the different groups. Some churches are more comfortable launching a internet safety night, talking to parents, getting them up to speed on what's happening out there, the lay of the land. And then from there, we give them tools and resources to build off of that. So really, the plan, the program, communities is completely customizable, and it really is just based on the needs of the church. But the most important thing is that people need to get started. So, there's a lot of fear associated with taking on a topic like this. It's taboo. People don't want to talk about it. There's shame. Our hope is to really just remove that and start talking about it and dealing with the issue across the board.
I like how it can be tailored to the current culture of the church, whether that be normally a series that the pastor tackles or deals with through a topical series, or you can start with your small groups, because sometimes it starts with the small groups, and even tailor it to the young people. And that's really neat how it's not fearful in a way of, okay, there's going to be a program that parachutes in, and then we have to tailor to that. It can be tailored to their current scenario. That's really neat.
Absolutely.
The topic of porn normally comes up in a church only when there's been an issue.
Sure.
And unfortunately, I've been part of many churches where there have been issues with pornography with the pastoral staff. And that's when things usually start to be talked about in that. Is there something with communities that will come in and say, you know what, even if there hasn't been an issue yet, here's some preventative measures, here's some educational resources to get you talking about this so that if and when there is an issue, we can handle this? Yeah,
absolutely. So two things. So the first thing is there is preventative measures, and part of that, we believe, is using Covenant Eyes services. So Andy Stanley, a couple weeks back, had a sermon series on guardrails for your life. We really believe that Covenant Eyes offers the best software out there to prevent and to help start the conversations about accountability. So we believe first you need some guardrails in place. The second part is the education and equipping. And by doing that and being proactive, we supply churches with church governance documents, samples of policies that can be put into place so that you can start thinking proactively about how you can prevent this with your staff and your leadership teams. So we do offer all of those resources through our community portal, and your community coach can actually help customize different things too. So if maybe you're looking for, we have an organization that actually is building a 90-minute onboarding for all new hires. So they're going to be able to go through a program that teaches them about this topic, about pornography, the effects, how it impacts the Christian organization, and then also have purity policies in place so that everyone is taken care of and supported, and then offering Covenant Eyes as the guardrails and put into place.
That'd be very valuable, because if you have people with access to internet devices in a church, you have to write a policy to protect, and that would help with that. So we even help with even infrastructure type of policies, which is kind of cool.
We're not legal. We're not offering legal advice, but what we're offering is sample policies, and of course that helps start the conversation in the HR capacity. So that's exactly what we're here to do. Support that.
It helps people know what bridges they're going to have to cross with those things.
Exactly.
That's really neat. What objections have you gotten? You've been able to deal with a lot of people, currently dealing with, I believe, somewhere in the neighbor of 160 organizations right now, but I'm sure there have been some along the way who have said, this isn't for me because. What are some of the objections you're hearing about this?
I think the number one objection is just fear. People just don't know where to get started. So a lot of times people are hesitant to take on another program, tackle the tough issues. If you're in a church that, is seeing a decline in your church population, or, you're struggling financially, this may not be something that you feel you can bring to the surface, because it could only exacerbate the issue. But we've actually found through working with churches that have those conditions that by dealing with pornography, it actually helps their church get healthy. It helps their church grow. So it has the reverse effect. So while we see people are afraid, or it's taboo to bring this up, the churches that have been bold enough to step up and deal with this issue are finding great success, and they're bringing healthy people back to the table. So those people can multiply and share the good news with others.
I could see where not only fear, but probably also shame, which pornography has such a high thing. Either there may have been something that the pastoral staff has dealt with in the past, or not, and just said, you know what, even if I haven't had a struggle with this, we haven't done a very good job in the past at addressing this. And there's shame associated with that. So anytime you'd have to come out and say, you know what, we haven't done a very good job about this, that's tough.
It is.
For someone to admit, even if it's true.
Yes. Another issue too is that statistically we find that even leaders and pastors struggle with this issue. So, again, we need to create an environment, and we help foster this through our communities program with education and ebooks and different things. But we need to foster a foundation of grace and mercy and forgiveness, because this is not something that it only affects a small portion of the population. This is a huge issue, and it affects everyone. So I would pretty much venture to say that every single person in the church is affected in one way, shape, or form. So by ignoring this issue, it's only getting worse.
And by dealing with it, you're doing the right thing and not admitting we're in trouble or we did something wrong. It's today's a new day.
That's
we can start now.
That's right. And it's just a sin issue. I mean, we have to call it for what it is. It's a sin issue, and we need to remove the shame and just deal with it like we do all the other things that affect us. So,
what kind of organizations, mostly I'm assuming churches, but are there other organizations, and where geographically are you finding these we're able to help people out?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So it's all across the nation. So we have churches, we have mission groups, we have youth groups, we've got small groups, we've got men that are running Conquer series and home groups. We also have a church organization in England that's actually tackling this issue, which is kind of amazing because it's quite an issue overseas, and this church hopes to be the light, the beacon for that whole area. So we're really excited about that.
That's neat how it has that big appeal. Here's one of the reluctance that we'll get right to.
Yeah.
How much does this cost? I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, this is great, it sounds great, okay, how much is this thing going to cost?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the good news is if you're already using Covenant Eye services, there's absolutely no cost for the community. So if you sign up for a community, you will actually get the educational portal, you will get all the tools and resources, and you'll get a community coach to guide you through and help you build a roadmap. And again, no cost for Covenant Eyes users. If you're not using Covenant Eyes, then we can actually get you set up with an account, super easy, and then again, the portal and all the tools are free.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
How does someone get more information? So someone says, okay, it's great. I like what you're saying here. Let's move forward.
Right.
What do they do?
And who wouldn't, right?
Who wouldn't, exactly.
Exactly. So to get more information, you can actually visit our website, which is Covenant Eyes /communities. You'll find a landing page there. There's a form you can fill out, and one of the coaches will be in contact with you. It usually takes about 24 to 48 hours. You can also reach me directly at 989-720-8188. I'd be happy to help. Or you can shoot me an email, KarenPotter@covenanteyes.com.
And we'll put all those information in the comment section, so you have no problem having to remember all those things. What is the ideal? And what would be the perfect world? Someone comes to us, says, we need you guys. Come on in, do what you got to do. What would be the perfect world scenario here?
Yeah. So somebody that's fearless, ready to take on this tough topic, and has an open mind, because we work with partners, so we don't believe that we have all the tools and resources out there. We partner with great, amazing organizations that supply curriculum and other amazing tools and resources. So if you come to the table with an open mind and an open heart, we definitely can help build up a program that will be very successful for you and totally customized.
It's just interesting to see how finally it seems like the Christian church is taking this issue seriously, and they're actually doing something about it, and we're seeing the numbers and God's blessing this effort. So it's really really fun to see this actually happening.
Yep,
so.
Absolutely. We're super excited. So we would just encourage everyone to contact us, get more information, see if it's a good fit for you, and let us partner with you and be there to help guide this situation and help deal with this issue going forward.
There's really no downside, it seems like. Just
there's no
call us, let us know if it's not a good fit, or if you're addressing it appropriately enough, then we'll
let
support
you
you
know.
one way or the other.
Yeah.
So,
Our job really is to partner with you. So, I mean, there really is no risk.
all right, very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Karen,
You
for
are
your
so
time.
welcome.
I appreciate that. And do check out more resources, covenanteyes.com/communities. All the contact information will be in our comment section there. And thank you so much for watching this week. We'll see you next week.